You will be on.
Just fun, that's all. Marty.
So before we, I guess, do the official call to order, though, we are going to have public comment period. And before we can do that, I understand we have to have a presentation of our code of conduct, and we'll open up for any public comments that may exist. But Mr. Miles, if you'll come down and do your thing for code of conduct. Clearly within the code of conduct, you'll do it right.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yep. All right. So in the past, we have typically kind of gone through this whole code of conduct for all of the different edits that we've made. I know that you guys have had it in advance and have had the opportunity to see them. So the process that we used, let's see, basically we met at principal's cabinet with all the different building principals and the directors and broke up into groups and went through different sections of the code and then made recommendations to update the changes to be consistent with kind of our practices in the building, as well as, you know, just typical changes and things that we're seeing in the schools. And then in addition to that, there is a technology section in here that we took a close look at and did some work with student groups at our leadership asset training with the Minerva DeLand students and some Fairport High School students, as well as our JP Huddle group and our Martha Brown Huddle group. Got their feedback through a survey in terms of the use of personal technology devices in school. And then we surveyed the staff at all secondary buildings regarding their perspective on the use of technology in school as well. We came back together and collaborated on the results of all of that, as well as took it to our wellness committee. And so we have made a recommendation in here regarding the K-8 segment of our student population and the use of cell phones in school, leaving 9-12 as is. So we'll see that as we go through. So, Mr. Provenzano, do you want me to go through every edit, or?
Just the major, I would, first of all, thank you for coming, but I think, you know, the major pieces that were in between pages 17 and 28, I would say.
All right.
If I remember correctly. I can't believe I do. I know the page number.
All right. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so in this particular section, engage in conduct that is violent. Obviously, it discusses a number of different things that students may, that we obviously warn them not to participate in, that would be threatening the safety and wellness of our students. And so we did edit that particular section, just some language around it had said, upon a teacher, administrator, or other school employee, we added another student or any person on school property, obviously to broaden that scope. We eliminated some language around participating in threatening or attempting. I think that was very similar to the first one, so that was like a duplicate in language. So just kind of cleaning it up, some of those areas. And then on page 18, we edited a statement under number 4, the use of recognized service dogs, because it's already mentioned earlier in the paragraph. So again, just some editing around that. Internet bullying, we reframed to be cyberbullying, because that's the more current language in that particular area. On page 19, quite a few edits under number 14 in terms of e-cigarettes, in terms of changing the language to electronic drug delivery devices, because they are obviously today broader than just nicotine devices. Let's see, and then again, talked about including in terms of where this is prohibited, school-sponsored events as well, and school grounds. One of the areas under this as well, on page 19, we added number 19 and took a look at in terms of what's prohibited behavior that would threaten the safety and wellness of students and staff. We added a statement regarding providing access to unauthorized visitors through locked doors. So just warning students that, you know, opening doors and allowing visitors to come in through the building without going through the secured entrance. Would certainly jeopardize the safety of our buildings. On page 20, this is the major area in which we made the changes related to the technology. So on page 20, we revised the statement that all elementary and middle school students, K-8, are prohibited from using or having on or in an operational mode any personal technology during the school day except as expressly permitted by administration. Items brought to school must remain in their locker or cubby until dismissal. So that was all as a result of the work that we did with the different student groups and staff groups, as well as the research that is out there that certainly supports that, students' attention to social media and can be distracting from the school process. Let's see. Updated a little bit in terms of the technology pieces to get with the 21st century. So added smartwatches, got rid of MP3 players, if you remember what they are. Let's see. We, on page 21, added under reporting violations, the Safe School Helpline and the information there, which I feel has been very successful this year. On page 22, we eliminated some language. This is this section, important section, is our comprehensive alcohol and drug procedures. So we did a lot of work in this area in terms of just eliminating some overly excessive language in terms of the hearings, just cleaning it up, making it more concise for parents. And then with that, on page 23, again, cleaning up the language, adding an additional piece regarding the helping contract. Let's see, just that if parents select the helping contract, they have agreed to the findings and waive the superintendent hearing. A follow-up helping contract meeting will be held. Administration, substance prevention, social worker, student, parent, and others as appropriate will attend. A contract will be developed based upon the 5-point plan, but individualized to meet the needs of the student. So that statement was added. And then we did some reorganization on page 25 for the helping contract 5-point plan, just putting it in a little bit different order in terms of what we think we get the most value out of. So the counseling component being first, tutoring second, the reentry conference, the Rochester Drug Treatment Court, and then the community service lastly. Feel free to stop me if you guys have any questions.
I do have a quick question, Deb, and it's a question for you and Joyce and the policy committee as well. But in the technology use, we talked about the modification slightly of, 6 through 8?
Well,
K-
traditionally K-5 has
Right.
never had them, so
K-5
we
and
just included 6-8 in the K-5 language.
So, I mean, just making sure that the policy that we have around technology aligns to the changes, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that, again, we want to make sure that we really look at what's in the code of conduct and make sure we align, because we have one policy for every grade, not separate ones for different grades. And so we just want to make sure that we're.
Yeah,
There were a few policies that are going to have to change. Some may be regulations, some may be policy, language, and some of the changes that you made. So we'll have to go through that.
The policies work. It's the regulations that we were charged with trying to make sure that we're able to regulate and enforce the parameters that are set forth in the policy. So what we've done is, through the process, was communicated with different stakeholder groups, and the policy was broad enough to where, for instructional purposes, that would be allowed for, giving a little discretion when it's appropriate. This codified that. So the policies, as I've been saying, remain in good standing and intact. What Mrs. Miles and her team have done is put some pretty strong regulation around it. But it's always a good practice to look at policy, but at the same time, I could say that we're in a good place.
Well, I'm thinking not just the technology, but other things that she's talking about. As I was reading through it the other day, there are a few other things there that we'll have to tweak our policy to change, even just the things like changing the e-cig term. That's probably in our policy.
Sure,
is
consistent
e-cig
language,
and,
right.
those kinds of things. So we're going to have to go through the policies alongside all that red stuff that we read.
Sounds good. All right, let's see. So then we are at the bottom of 26, looking at disciplinary consequences, procedures, and referrals. And in this particular area, updated some language around our proactive approaches to highlight our positive behavior intervention services or supports our social skill development, emotional regulation, education, our mindfulness work, and our restorative practices pieces. So I think that just puts a little positive piece into the code of conduct before going directly into the discipline consequences. Then we go to 28, just some minor little tweaks in terms of adding lunch, recess, or after school detention instead of just making it detention. And then page 42, we revised number 2 on page 42. This is the visitors to school section, just indicating that all visitors must wear their badge while in the building. The badge should be returned when leaving the building. And then on number 4, we switched the wording for the teachers and the visitors, just stating that visitors should not take class time to discuss individual matters with teachers, rather than the other way around. And I think that hits like the big pieces. Let me just double check this one last one on 45. Let's see. Oh, dissemination and review of the code of conduct. So this section we did update just to try to align with our practices. So obviously we don't send a hard copy of the code of conduct out to everybody. We place it on our website once you approve it as a board, and then we share with parents through our commentator, I think, that they can access it from the website. And in addition to that, our principals include an abbreviated version of the code of conduct in the student agendas. So that's everything.
And I'm not sure if it goes to you or to safety, the next meeting we have, but you mentioned sort of an aside about the school helpline. And you said what a great thing that was, or something along those lines. Would you like
I
to
did.
speak about why, how much
Sure.
have we seen use of it, or what would you like to say about that comment that you made?
Okay. So we started this February 1st, and since then, I didn't look at the number today, but since then, I want to say we're close to 20 calls or text messages that have come into probably across probably the 4 secondary buildings. I don't think we've had any come into the elementary buildings at this point. But I think it's been an effective way. It certainly alerts our administrators to some conduct and things that might be going on in the buildings that they may not otherwise be aware of. I notify them immediately. They are very prompt in responding and gathering information and investigating what the concern is. Sometimes it's a behavioral thing with some bullying and things that haven't otherwise been reported, and sometimes it's just concerns for their peers' wellness in terms of maybe some inappropriate drug use or, eating disorders or things that, peers are just worried about their friends, and this is a way for them to reach out to somebody anonymously and get some help. So I
Thank you.
think it's been effective. Anything else?
I appreciate the expansive view and lens that you've taken this past year. Many different eyes, many different voices have been a part of this process. So I think always room for reflection and improvement, but I appreciate the great amount of effort with your teams here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So I think technically we're open for public comment. Has anybody signed up for public comment? No. Okay. So then we will move on to the public hearing and comment period for the district-wide safety plan, which has been available to the public for the last, couple weeks, the shortened version, right? And nobody signed up for that comment either? Going once, going twice? Okay. Then we will move on to officially call this meeting to order. I guess it's 6:55, 6:56 if you want to be technical, and need a approval of the agenda. Damon, motion. Second, Marty. All in favor? Or is there anybody who wants to rearrange or add? No? All in favor? 6-0. And we have some commendations for this part. I'm going to turn over to Damon Buffum.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for your service. The New York State School Boards Association School Board U Recognition Program is designed to recognize the extensive time and effort of school board members who strive to continually expand their governance knowledge and skills. NYSBA's recognition program is comprised of 4 achievement levels. Members qualify for recognition points by participating in NYSBA development activities, such as new member academy, board officers academy, NYSBA annual convention, legal conferences, regional workshops, webinars, and district-level custom improvement plans. The 4 achievement levels are as follows. Level 1, Board Achievement Award, individuals who earn at least 75 points. Level 2, Board Excellence Award for individuals who earn at least 150 points. Level 3, Board Mastery Award, individuals who earn at least 250 points. And Level 4, Board Lifetime Achievement, individuals who earn at least 500 points. And I don't think there's a catalog that you can order prizes, right? So,
Yeah,
right.
next try.
It's prizes in heaven, so good job. Okay, so Peter Forsgren, our esteemed president, has earned the Level 3 Board Mastery Award.
Nice job.
Congratulations, Peter.
Thank you.
And Judy O'Leary Sargent has been awarded the Level 1 Board Achievement Award. And she's not here, but I'll accept the award on her behalf. Congratulations to Peter and Judy for their continued striving to enhance your knowledge and skills in board governance. And on behalf of the board, really thank you for your service and leadership, Peter.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure.
I have a fancy certificate.
In it.
And,
Oh,
I say shake it, and a laptop, right. Here you go, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Check on that for you.
Wow. One in-person training.
There really isn't a check.
No, but an in-person training, which doesn't cost now the district, right? Thank you, Damon. We do have one other not on the agenda purposefully, to celebrate and recognize the long-term service of a board member who is ending her service. Maureen, elected in May of 1998, right? Over 21 years ago now, the election occurred.
sounds right.
Starting on July 1st of 1998.
I was
Thank
5
you,
years old when that
service.
happened.
Is this the original picture showing up behind us
That is
now?
the original, I'm sure it is, yes.
It's fantastic.
Right.
It's one of the originals.
No, yes, that's, because the original picture I had white hair. Then I moved around. I'm laughing at my pictures over time and what shows up where. Because at the reception that I missed last week, I was brown haired in the picture. I was like, Monroe County School Boards thinks I'm brown haired. So it's nice to be changing.
Well, we have several people who want to say things, and I'll invite them up real shortly, though. But your service has been incredible, Maureen. Thank you. I hope I can speak on behalf of the board. I
See,
haven't
here.
asked for entire permission, but your knowledge, your history, for those of us who come on new, you provide great context in terms of how we got to where we are and how we work our way out of some things, too, as the environment always changes, and we know that will be a constant in terms of the change. And so it was fun to get some of these pictures, Maureen. We,
I know those people.
as a group, wanted to make sure you got to see who you served with over the years. As I mentioned, there are other people who've asked to be part of this celebration, so I'd ask them to come down, and we'll have them take turns at the microphone. Ms. Sue Casement, representing the FEA, and Dave Dunn, is it, right, for FAA? If you both would like to come down, and I haven't missed anybody else who was speaking, is that, at this time, Deb? Thanks.
That's a long time ago. Ooh, I get flowers.
Black and white.
Good evening to the Board of Education. Can you evening to the Board of Education. Thank you.
Are you on?
Oh, turn it on. That would be good. And thank you for allowing us to have time to speak. Maureen, on behalf of the FEA, I offer our congratulations on your retirement from the Fairport Board of Education. As an elected official for over 20 years, your legacy is a tribute to your heart, as you have always have your eyes focused on the children and the young adults of Fairport. We never doubted that the foundation of your decisions was your love for our students. Likewise, we acknowledge with appreciation your concern for the teachers in every classroom and office across the district. Not so long ago, I met Maureen coming out of Brooks Hill. As always, she was involved in a hands-on fashion. This day, Maureen was working with an Odyssey of the Mind group, I believe, and she didn't want to disappoint the group and came despite awful weather. She wanted to know why I was there that morning. Upon learning of a meeting, she declared with her usual humor and a laugh that her group was probably far more interesting than mine. Also, during the last 2 Canal Days, I think she personally sent about 1,000 kids to receive books, but these small incidents are just so apropos of Maureen. Maureen, due to your study and experience, you truly are a walking encyclopedia of all things education. The Lucky BOCES Board will be the beneficiary of your knowledge. This is our FEA opportunity to join the chorus of thank yous, shower you with gratitude, tie it with humor, and wish you every good wish. Thank you, Maureen.
Thanks, sir.
I can tell I've been around too long. I think I remember, and you could name all those board members on those pictures. And I'm not sure if they did those years of achievement 21 years ago. You got to be over 1,000 points, Maureen. No doubt about it.
So she gets a new car.
New car, absolutely. So again, I'm proud to recognize Maureen on her behalf of service at Fairport. Actually, I knew Maureen before 21 years ago. My daughter was heading into the, back then, the Pop Warner cheer program, and Maureen's daughter, Meg, I believe, was headed on the way out. No surprise to anybody that Maureen stayed on in that program without cheerleaders for quite a few years, Maureen. And I just know that my wife and my daughters benefited from your leadership. And no surprise that you're recognized by the FEA because you spent a good part of your career as a teacher. And I'm in Paul Myers' truck today driving around to the high school, and Paul was commenting about having you as a, I believe, 4th grade teacher at East Rochester.
7th.
And there's a number of our staff and community that can speak to your abilities as a teacher. So I think we got the best of both worlds from you at East Rochester. If you work or live there, you're the home of the champions. And at Fairport, of course, you're once a Raider, always a Raider. And you certainly have been a champion for all of our Raiders for all those years. Some of the things I want to recognize, Maureen, on behalf of the administrators as well, is 21 years ago, I was 3 years into my principalship, and that was right around the time where Dr. Calla came in, and we really kind of had a big shift towards, taking care of kids. I don't think we called it whole child attendance back then, but that's how it felt. The direction and the board 21 years ago was all about, relationships and connections with kids. And I'm proud to say that 21 years later, we're still there. And I think, Maureen, that's a tribute to your sustainability as a board member, your leadership, and continued with that. Just want to thank you on behalf and wish you the best of luck. And all of the board visits that you did, all 21 of them, because I don't believe you ever missed one, because I was there for all of them too, is all about kids. And I think probably because of your teacher background, but you really focused on the kids during those visits. And at the end, when we would have lunch and talk, you would share the conversations you had with those kids. And I just hope that as you continue into the BOCES board, that you find kids. And I know you will. You will find kids because that's your passion and that's your gift. But on behalf of all of us at FAA, I certainly want to thank you for your years of service. We know you're not going away, and look forward to seeing your future at BOCES. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ooh, pretty. Look, I managed. Okay, what a great thing. Thank you.
I don't want it to tip over.
Indeed, thank you. Oh, my gosh. You guys know I have a green, purple thumb, don't you? So can I say something? Or
No,
you
not
it's
yet.
your turn? Okay.
Yeah, we'll ask for
Ah.
the speech, the traditional speech soon.
Oh, it's the traditional speech soon.
I
Now
don't
recognize that one, people.
Doesn't people call speech, right? We'll get there. But Maureen, right, I will echo what everybody has said and give some time to Brett, but you've served on, I imagine, every committee at the district level. All of them perhaps at Monroe County level. You've been to state and national, federal conferences. I assume learning, applying, hopefully bragging some about
Oh,
Fairport
absolutely.
as well. But the most enjoyable is what Dave Dunn said, always watching you at our visits with the students, right? The interactions.
most fun.
Getting down, whether on the knee with them at their level or teaching and bringing it. We're so happy we have gifts as well and like to present to you. The downside is, I hope to get a little bit money back. We have created a photo book of these and other photos
Oh, right.
for you that was supposed to be delivered today and did not. So that's why we have them here on the screen, but we will get that to you. A photo book of over the 21 years of the different boards, as well as we had contacted Monroe County School Board Association. They sent over pictures as well from their archives of you at the state and other places where you have participated. And we're just so grateful that we've had this opportunity to serve with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you want to say things, or?
Maureen, thank you for all that you've done for our school community. I think Dave said it very well. If you take a look at who we are, at the core of who we are, I always speak about leadership and how it makes a difference. You have been a consistent presence in Fairport for the past 21 years. And, you know, when you talk about care, Brotherhood, Sisterhood Week, when you talk about all the joy that occurs in our schools with extracurricular, co-curricular activities and electives, and making sure that we take care of each other, that Fairport family doesn't happen if it's not in your heart and soul. And that's why I really am passionate about Fairport schools. You know, if I look at my own career, professional journey, you have been there for each one of those significant
I
moments.
voted for you 3 times.
And I'm blessed and I'm fortunate for that. And that's why I don't want you to go. And I honor that. And I finally called on about my second year about, you know, how you tried to trip us up in here, you know, with some of those very good questions. We'll miss that.
Oh,
But all kidding aside, you've made me a better superintendent. You've given me a greater perspective as an educator, and you help me keep what's important, our Fairport ideas and values at the center of everything we do, and you're important to that. And we will always miss you. I know you're going right up the street, and I know that you're always a phone call away, but thank you. Thank you for all that you've given.
thank you.
Maureen, up.
Thank you. Oh, Pete, thank you. Whoa. Thank you very much. Oh, I can't see the rest of you now. So can I just make a comment? Thank you, board. My son-in-law, who doesn't know what I do, said, "What do you do? Why? Why would you do this?" And I said, well, and he says, if there's one thing that you could talk about, what could you say? And that's not a conversation you can have in front of the grandchildren. Thank you, board, thank you, students, because of one thing that you let me do. You can't really say, I did this or I did this, because 7 of us, even, they keep changing the picture behind me, but 7 of us all the time make decisions. But there is one thing that I'm very proud of that you let me do, and I don't think anybody else in the room is very much aware of it. When I first started, Brotherhood Sisterhood Week's initials were CART. C-A-R-T for tolerance. And somewhere at the beginning of the century, the kids came and said, we want to change the letters. We want to make it E to embrace our differences. So we went to being all the things you've heard of, all the things we think about. And they said at the time, something I thought was very relevant, they said, tolerance is such a 20th century word. I do remember that conversation. So a few years later, because I am a nerd, I'm reading the bylaws of the New York State School Boards Conference, New York State School Boards Association, and we're getting ready for the conference, and the bylaws, which were up for a vote, had the word tolerance, that we would be a tolerant organization. And I said, as the voting delegate for your group, can I go, and this is what I want to do, I just want to change one word in the National School Board, the New York State School Board's bylaws. And I got up and I didn't say anything to them, but it was like, I felt like we in Fairport were ahead of the game, as I've said in so many different things, and our students were the ones who noted us. And so I went and I said at the meeting, I said, I'm just going to put this word up there. It is not wordsmithing. Read it and see what you feel, how it reverberates to you. And so we changed the word tolerant to acceptance. It was probably a 20-minute conversation, series of conversations, and Robert's Rules of Orders don't allow that. People did not like it. People did like it. People changed the words. It was the biggest issue we had at the convention. And I started out by saying, I can't believe Fairport's coming up here and saying, I'm going to talk against tolerance. And people didn't know what to expect. And I didn't say anything. I just said, see how it feels. So as it turned out, it was passed that we were going to not respect each other. We were going to accept each other's differences. And it's probably the following year, I called New York State School Boards. I said, how many times do you have to vote on something before it comes to being? Because the following year, the word tolerance was still in their bylaws. They had not changed it. So thank you, Fairport. Thank you, students. Thank you, community. Thank you, our staff, our administrators, for making that real to the students, for making that real to them, that we are going to do more than tolerate each other, that we accept each other, that these things are words that are important words, and that they have become part of now they're part of the National School Boards, New York State School Boards Association. And by the way, the new president that year was Florence Johnson, the first black woman. I stood up in front of the first black woman president and said, I'm against tolerance. And it was one of the most interesting conversations that we had, and she thanked me afterwards. So that's what I want to thank Fairport for doing for me, opening my sense of what's right, what the real thing, what should we be doing, and and having the students get it to us first. So thank you, Fairport. Thank you. Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Maureen.
You know,
I can't turn any pinker, can I? Can I turn any
Go on to the
pinker?
roasting side.
So I will say that, I think all of us know, we did the exercise during our workshop 6 months ago, and we talked about, remember we went to the different
I was in the wrong corner of the room.
depending on what our personality type is and our decision-making capabilities. And I'm here in the north because I want to get things done, and I want to do it fast and close enough for government work. And Maureen's in the south because she focuses on every word, right? And that's not my natural inclination, but I will say, Maureen, you've made me a much better board member through your focus and pulling me back, right? And having me pay attention to the words, right? And really understanding. And sometimes I lose patience, but you've done us all a huge, me in particular, you've educated me significantly. And our team is better because of you, and you've played a really key instrumental role on what we are, and we're really going to miss that. And I don't know how we're going to reform now that we are going to be missing that. We will reform, but it'll be different, right? So thank you for everything.
Thank you,
Really
Damon.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Anyone else? That wasn't much of a roast, by the way, but.
Well,
I was worried.
Well, it's almost a shame to move on. We've done
Please,
some
let's
great
get-
celebrations today and everything in terms of scholar athletes, robotics, Odyssey of the Mind, high honor roll students. I would add then congratulations to everybody in the room in terms of another awesome year of, moving forward, progressing, learning, but above all, passion for public education. I know it's probably felt like a sprint since mid-May. Maybe that by definition means it's a marathon, right? And I think of the marathoners, those who win, they do these things at 5-minute miles, right? That is a sprint. They sprint for 26 miles, essentially, in my opinion, at least. So I know our staff here at the Fairport School District has been sprinting since mid-May at least, and maybe for the whole 10 months of the school year, the whole time. And well done. Looking forward to a summer break and we start all over. We didn't have very many attend the transportation visit this year. It seemed like a conflict, but 3 of us got in to see the new facilities. I think genuine excitement by especially the mechanics and others for the upgrade that they're going to receive. They have done a fantastic job over the years, always scoring well in terms of maintaining our buses. I'm just excited for them myself to know what they'll be able to do with the new facilities and do it in such a way that's perhaps a little bit more accommodating to the job that they're supposed to do, bringing those buses in, month out, maintaining them. And then the drivers, of course, having places that meet the needs that they have. So it was a good visit. It was good to see the building, and looking forward to an update on that presentation as well. Brett, your report, do you have anything?
Good evening.
I'm going to move over 'cause I-
Thank you for giving me the opportunity one last time. Here it is in June. I can't believe we're all sitting here looking at the end of the year graduation, where we'll be looking at 497 of our students walk across the stage. They've had quite the journey. I'm looking forward to celebrating. They got a head start this last week when they marched through their middle schools at Minerva DeLand and elementary schools, and it was great seeing all the hugs and memories and students connecting with their former schools here in Fairport. It was a joyful time, and it really looking forward to build upon what we learned this year and make the event become another hallmark, memorable experience. All of our schools right now are buzzing, and you know, if you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, you'll get to see the joy that's occurring, the celebrations of learning, the successes that are occurring that define who we are as a school community. It's ending in the class style and pride that you would expect it to be. This past year, the board had is there a power button inside? There probably is. Power, it's buzzing. All right, thank you. The board had a expectation of this idea of making sure that we communicate and be accountable to the work that we set forth. They want to see progress, and you know, as we moved along this year, and I take a look at our strategic initiatives, I could, I made a concerted effort to communicate that progress, whether it's at our workshops, whether it's in updates, whether it's in these board meetings and presentations and people coming and sharing the work of our district and our strategic plan. And one piece that I think is important that I would ask the board to jump in at any point in time, because this is a statement that they've been working on throughout the year. They modified it, their vision and mission, because without a strong vision and mission, there's a lack of clarity and purpose. And I'm proud of the work that's happening here and how this draft statement will come to fruition in the very near future. So I want to just ask anybody to speak to that, or maybe it's it's a work in progress, and the actions will speak in the work that we do in the future. But I know that this was important.
It is. I think we're determined based on our discussion, right, to have it reviewed, especially some assistance to make sure it appropriately reflects diversity is the last element we want to make sure is covered in this.
And I would just add that preparing kids for the 21st century, whether it be college careers or whatever their endeavors are, diversity and acknowledgement and participation in a diverse culture is just so significant. And, we had a corporate broadcast today, and diversity and programs around diversity to promote diversity was really the major theme. So I think that that's something that's just so important in the world that we live in. And so driving that down into the culture of our school district is great.
If you take a up close and personal look at who we are as a school community, this should be speaking to us. And I'm proud of the fact I've studied this, and I could look at our programming and the opportunities that we have for our children, the partnerships that we strive to create, our expectations for access, equity, and diversity, and recruiting a diverse and knowledgeable staff, and building capacity in these 21st century skills. It's all layered into who we are as a school community, and I appreciate the work that's been done here. I'm not going to go through a complete strategic plan update, but again, proud of the work that we're doing here as we try to build coherence in our educational programming, as we strive to identify what does this whole child vision mean actually on the ground floor. This past year, we focused in on safe and engage. We're going to continue to build upon safe and engage. Curriculum alignment and development. Lots of work needs to continue to be accomplished in this realm, but lots of work has started to form and be realized in the building. We're starting to see it in slow and incremental steps. Sometimes it's not fast enough, but we're making steady and have a trajectory of progress there. Fiscal sustainability and facilities planning are other components that I'm not going to get into the nooks and crannies of. The work has been realized. If you've been watching our board meetings and our public meetings and our workshops, you could see that, these have been two main ideas that we continue to work toward our vision so we can be the best for our community. And there'll be plenty of opportunities to talk about facilities planning in the very near future. Please be assured there'll be topics at workshops and there'll be community sessions and board meetings to discuss how we're moving along. So thank you for giving us an opportunity, and I hope that I was able to communicate throughout the year and show how we are all accountable to achieving our strategic initiatives. But most importantly, I really feel it's, these initiatives, all the things that we talk about, it's centered around people. Our people do so many wonderful things to bring our vision and mission, strategic initiatives to fruition. Behind each one of these great experiences, I always say this is a caring, passionate Fairport educator. We had 12 teachers, 13 paraprofessionals, transportation directors, clerks, secretaries, B&G, food service representatives, and one Board of Education member who we've honored here tonight. 40 people who we honored last week at our retirement celebration. And if you take a look and you just reflect on the importance of who they are and what they bring to our school community, so we can be all we can be for our children and our families and our school community, it starts with their willingness to embrace the vision and mission, and they do that gladly. And so my hat's off to them. I recognize all of our graduates of 2019 from our staff who've made an incredible difference in Fairport. We celebrate and we appreciate all that they've done, and look forward to hearing from them because they're an important part of who we are. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Then to Mr. Stevens for our treasurer report.
Okay, good evening and thank you. Tonight we have the Treasurer's Report for the month of April 2019. We had a beginning cash balance in the general fund of $67.2 million, receipts of $1.9 million, disbursements of $7.6 million for an ending cash balance of $61.5 million. Of the $61.5, approximately $40.4 million to invest, which is close to 66% in the T-bills, ICS account and CDs. So, thank you very much.
If I might make a comment, then I don't normally make,
Sure.
but I noticed the interest line on there, $355,000. That's just for the month of April.
Just the month of April,
Right.
so if you notice, we had a lot mature in
Right.
April.
Yeah, we'll see later in the report or later on. I know an estimate by the end of the year was somewhere around, I think, 800,000 for the year, which is up
That's good.
from 7 years ago. Rates are up, right, considerably, but this is up by like 3,000%, meaning that there's a more focus on it. And these are resources. We have $61 million. That's a real asset to us. I'm grateful that there's been that focus and brought that revenue in, a new revenue line. We don't often get revenue lines that go up that much, right?
Yeah, it was great to see in the audit report, really.
Yeah.
It was almost like you watched stock on Amazon. Good job.
Careful, remember we're televised.
No, that was, I mean, it's.
They're all safe and legal, okay?
No, but it's awesome to see that we actually have revenue, and that's great. Thanks for putting that money to good use.
Well, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, so that moves us on, unless there's any other comments about that, we will move on to the consent calendar. Need a motion to approve the consent calendar. Marty first, Kevin second. All in favor? 6-0. And that takes us to donations. We have 2 donations on the agenda to accept from the Northside Elementary PTA for $3,600 and then the Girls Softball Booster Club for $175. Need a motion to accept those donations? Damon first, Maureen second. Comments, questions? I do want to comment. I love a Gaga pit. I love playing with it, so I'm glad Northside's getting one.
I saw
That's
that.
a
I
great
saw that.
donation.
That's cool.
Well, then you are out of the times, my friend. You got to go play Gaga ball or something.
I'll have to write that down.
My kids love it. It's a great game. Anyway, thank you to those organizations. We really appreciate the generosity that's represented in our community each month as we accept donations. So, all in favor? Great. I was hoping nobody would turn that down. 6-0. Okay. On to personnel actions. Instructional. Always quite a list at this side. Need a motion to approve. Maureen first, Joyce second. Comments or questions? All in favor? 6-0. Do want to point out our appointment for assistant principal, right? I believe here in the audience as well, Lindsay Keel. Did I say that right? Kyle? My German's not good. Is it German? I got the E and the I wrong, right? Back to school for me. But congratulations, thank you. We're looking forward to having you here at FHS and Run Over to Land. Athletics, much shorter list than normal, but we need a motion to approve. Maureen first, Joyce second. Questions, comments? All in favor? 6-0. Non-instructional and civil service. Motion to approve. Marty first. I'll second that. Any questions or comments? All in favor? 6-0. Memorandum of Agreement with the Fairport Administrators Association. A motion to approve. Marty first. Second, Damon. Questions or comments? Thank you to all the hard work on
That was
everybody's part. Getting this to work out, we're always happy to have this taken care of. All in favor? 6-0. And then for salaries of personnel not covered by collective bargaining agreements, we need a motion to approve those. Damon first. Joyce second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? 6-0. Thank you. Yeah. we
I
owe you a
must
great
say
deal of
thank you
thanks,
for
I
the
think.
work you've done this past, coming in for this time, and we've had some good things, getting good information to us about what's happening and what the people are that are, very timely. Thank you very much.
So I'm going to echo that, because I think sometimes in temporary positions, it's a caretaker, don't rock the boat, don't do anything. I'm not sure you rock the boat, I'm not saying that, but you've done much more than that. You really have pushed and enhanced and make the person who's going to come in, perhaps they should be very grateful, more so than they might even realize, for all that's been accomplished in a short period of time.
And
Thank
really
you.
brought some out-of-the-box thinking, so it's been excellent. Thank you.
I was going to wait to the end to say something to make sure all your stuff got approved first, but no.
Oh, there's still other things in jeopardy, are there?
Really, you've been an incredible gift to our district, helping us get through the last several months, and we appreciate your steady hand and leadership.
You've had a fun time too, right?
I
It's that
think,
trip from Hilton.
I think it was, we've cured him out to ever coming out of retirement, right?
Yes.
If that's what you mean by fun time. But thank you. We have our transportation capital project update.
Yeah,
Mark,
Mark
always good to see you.
Esposito
Yep.
from Campus Construction.
Good evening. A lot of fun things happening around here. Congratulations, especially with all the awards. So we are going to do the June update for the transportation facility capital project. To go over the overall referendum budget of $11.2 million, we have our three categories of the incidental budget, just over $1.8 million, our construction contingency of $403,000, and our contracts in place just under $9 million. Tracking our construction contingency through this, to date we've spent $308,598. leaving us just under $95,000 remaining. We are still tracking just under $45,000 worth of pending issues as we prepare for the summer. It's going through some paperwork and processing it. But we are 97% complete, and I think as a few of the board members were able to see walking through the building, we do have a certificate of occupancy. We have moved in. The district did a great job over the past couple of weeks of relocating into that facility and starting demolition on the other site, or on the other building right now as of today. So a lot of fun things happening over transportation right now and people getting accommodated to their new rooms and location.
So Mark, you say demolition starting, I know abatement was gonna.
We started, so I'm gonna call it minor demolition areas, so we gotta work within our parameters, but we do have some abatement of some pipe joints that have to be removed and some caulk, so that is happening underneath Code Rule 56, as New York State requires, and then we are going ahead and doing other selective demolition. We'll be bringing in the building, the excavators and trucks to remove that building here in the next couple of weeks. So a lot of fun stuff to see if you have children or grandchildren and want to drive by and see some heavy machinery tear down
I'll
a
be
building.
there.
They'll be ongoing, so. But just so what things you can see in the next month coming up, we will continue to do some punch list interior of the building, making sure those lists are wrapped up, making sure all systems are operating now that we have users in the building occupying it. Then we will be doing our training and testing on the fuel island and having that up and going, and fencing also on the site will be ongoing with that installation. Testing of the bus wash equipment has been completed, and that is all up and used and trained on. So a lot of training and testing happened over the past few weeks within that new facility. So I do have some photos of the facility if people that didn't get a chance to walk through it. The boiler room, not the most exciting room in there, but it is a
Is it painted orange?
very nice and neat, organized
boiler?
one.
Is it painted orange?
There's a mezzanine.
No, the boiler was like smaller than my furnace. It was
And
like-
apologies from Ross that
It
it wasn't
is
orange.
very high efficient.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He wanted them, all boilers painted orange. That was Damon.
It did not look like a boiler. Pretty awesome.
They're heating the building.
Yeah.
All right, so the mezzanine, picture of that. So we have inside of the mechanics break room space is outfitted and ready to be used. The conference room. A look at the driver's space with the table set up and the chairs throughout that for use. We have one of our office spaces with the outfit. The second floor corridor lockers and floors that were completed and cleaned by Ross's crew worked out great in all of the facility, getting it ready for occupancy.
Got the same flooring as the high school. That little curvy thing.
That is.
That's still the canal?
That is, I believe, what Labella refers to as the canal. This is a VCT tile, though. With transportation inside the office area with their files. A look at the mechanics storage room. The new tire rack system that was installed here, maximizing the space for usability. The welding area. And then a look at some of the outside elevations of the facility itself. So we are looking at the back side, the northwest elevation. This is the main entrance with that fascia piece that has been installed since this photo was taken last week. Just another look at it from the southwest side. So as you can see how close those buildings actually are. We have to make sure when we do this demolition, it's going to be very careful up against that. Look on the back side from the northeast. Any questions?
You know, I will say, Mark, I really enjoyed the visit. It was pretty cool, pretty impressive. I learned about chemical handling and boilers and airflow and UPS systems, and there's a lot inside that building in transportation in general that you just don't think about when you drive by and you see a big building with buses in it, right? There's a lot of stuff that happens there, so it was a great project, and your team did a great job, and Ross, you and your team did a great job as well. And I know we eat lunch now at a meals. So.
Yeah. No, and I know
Right.
Pete do a great job in that facility and working through the old one and coming into the new one. They did a lot of planning into that along with Ross and the rest of the project team to make that facility what it actually is. So there was a lot of effort put into it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. 7, board discussion action items, quite a few of these tonight. Policies, second read. Motion to accept. Marty? I'll second that. Any questions or about this? We saw these, last month? All in favor? 6-0. Contract for services with Monroe Number 1 BOCES. This is for next school year. Motion to approve. Works. Maureen? Yes.
Abstain from this?
No. I'm not abstaining from anything.
We need a second. Damon? Maureen and Damon, if I didn't hear say that. All in favor? 6-0. School food service budget. Motion to approve. Marty, second. Maureen? We did see this. This came through the audit committee just last week, right? We looked at the budget and as well as where we were year-to-date in the current year. All good news overall. It's,
One of the things we talked about is the fact that even though technically our enrollment is declining, the use of the food service is remaining stable, which kind of indicates there's an increase in the number of students that are participating in that. And we speculated about what that means, but we're looking at some very stable costs coming up. So,
yeah, not sure that 1 year a trend makes, but at least
It's
after
a
all the
start.
years of declining, it did seem to plateau, and we will see by next year at this time, right, whether that continues. But yeah, Michelle's done a great job. So all in favor of the budget for next year? 6-0. Rental agreement between FVA and the Fairport Central School District. Motion to approve. Joyce, second. Marty. Any questions? All in favor? 6-0. Security service contract extension with Swoop One. Need a motion to approve this contract? Marty, second. Joyce. Questions, comments? All in favor? 6-0. 2018-19 year in fund balance analysis and use of reserves. A motion to approve this analysis and the recommendations. Maureen first, second. I'll second that. Again, this was something we reviewed in detail. Hopefully the notes were helpful from the audit committee meeting. Any questions or comments? Take that as a sign that the notes were helpful. Very good. All in favor? 6-0. Budget transfers, which is related, right, to F above, Matt, right? This will then allow us to carry out those recommendations that we just approved. So, motion to approve. Damon, is that raising your hand? Yep. Damon first, second. Joyce? Questions or comments? All in favor? 6-0. Athletic Training Services Agreement. Need a motion to accept this agreement, this contract. Marty first, second. Maureen? Questions, comments? All in favor? 6-0. Booster Clubs Audit. Motion to approve. Is it really to approve or accept? Which one is it?
Accept.
Kevin? Accept
Accept.
the audit. Kevin was first, second. Maureen, questions or comments about the audit?
well, I know we looked at it before, and then we looked at it, the comment that I'd like to make is that there were some changes. We recognize that we do not own booster clubs. And that's really what it is. We're not telling them, it's trying to make sure that they use some specific standards that are generally held outgoing there. So there have been recommendations made that we we say to them, here are some general ideas about what it should look like, but we are not in charge of booster clubs, and that's always been one of the hardest things is to make sure people recognize that separation there, that there are things that they want to do that are what they would do. But they do use Fairport, our names. So it's important, I think, that we at least make sure that they're following appropriate auditing procedures.
Right, which is in next month at our reorg meeting, we'll have a chance to approve them for another year, based on that kind of thing, right? That they're following standards, that we have confidence in. That, I was grateful for the dotting the i's, crossing the t's in terms of several things were removed, but it did require that we look at, on our side where it does impact us, the insurances, some of the other things that had been brought up that indeed were found. Everything was provided as was appropriate, but during the audit time frame, at least initially, they hadn't been there and people had to keep looking. So that was one of the changes from the draft that we saw. Thankfully, but I'm sure that also means they'll be more readily accessible in the future since they know it's being looked at. Other comments? All in favor? 6-0. Transportation contract. This is with Apple Transportation. Motion to approve. Kevin and first, Joyce second. All in favor? No one opposed, 6-0. And finally, the claims audit report. This is the final thing reviewed by the audit committee. But our standard month-by-month reports, motion to approve these claims or accept them, I guess. It's already passed. Marty first, Kevin second. Always a thank you to Paula for the great eye she puts on these. All in favor? 6-0. Okay, that brings us to any last comments. Sorry if I forced you to make some comments ahead of time or others. Anybody have any comments here at our last meeting of this school year? No? A quiet
Thank you,
time?
it's been fun. And congratulations to all the upcoming seniors, and hopefully we'll all have a safe and healthy summer and as they get into whatever's their next stage of life, and for us all. And good luck to you.
Indeed, it was fun hearing, I tell you, how some of the majors have changed over the years, right? The ones that were listed off on the high honor roll, it's like, oh, I'm not sure what that is. It sounds really difficult and challenging, right? Definitely a lot more than rocket science offered out there now. So good luck to them. Thanks, Maureen. Anybody else? No? We will, next motion will be move into executive session. We do not have any plans, nor on the agenda to make any decisions. When we adjourn, we will also, or come out of executive session, we will adjourn and be done for the night, so no need to hang around if you're interested. So with that, I need a motion to enter into executive session. Kevin first, Joyce second. All in favor? 6-0. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.